Hi guys, welcome back to the second part of this tutorial. So in the first part we UV'd the first part of the mesh. Unfortunately we didn't have time to arrange the UVs, so we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna try to move a bit faster here since it took 45 minutes for us to UV the upper part. Fortunately, the lower part here is a bit, well, let's just say it's less complicated because, for example, for these feet, we only have to do the UVs once, and then we're gonna use overlapped UVs. Okay, but we're gonna talk about that later. For now, let's just focus on this first part, and let's try and arrange the UVs. So as I was saying, I don't want to scale things too much, but it appears that I won't have any other choice. So since this is the lower part and it's not going to be seen too much, I'm thinking maybe we can scale it even even smaller than it already is. So these are pretty much cylindrical pieces, so I'm gonna leave them for the end. Maybe we can find them a place somewhere. For now, let's just focus on getting the bigger pieces set up within the UV space. So we got this rear end set up and that piece of geometry. So now we're going to set up these base portions. I'm just going to lay them out right now. I'm not going to focus too much on fitting them perfectly. Okay, maybe this can be a bit smaller. It's a little too big. Okay, let's arrange this. Actually, let's leave it as it is. Okay. Now this needs to be way smaller since it's also pretty small in the scene. So probably something like this should be quite okay. It's also a very small object, so we don't want to waste UV space with it. You can rotate the UVs just to place them better. Okay, now this is the crosshair. So again, we can make it smaller. Because this is pretty big in comparison to the actual size of the crosshair in our 3D space. So I'm just gonna find a little nice spot here for it. Okay, let's give a save. And now it looks like we only have left the barrels, which we do want them to be fairly big because they are in focus most of the time. So I'm gonna try not to scale them too much. Okay, now maybe I'm thinking maybe this part can be at the bottom instead. Actually, it can be on the horizontal instead of vertical. That should help us fit the barrels more nicely. Okay, looks like we're still gonna have to scale them a bit. Okay, this might not be the perfect setup, but it's gonna have to do. Maybe we can rotate this so we can save a bit of space there. Make sure the UVs are not are not getting out of this rectangle here. Okay, and now we can fit these round pieces at the bottom. So maybe one can go here, since this is the bigger part, and this one maybe in there. Okay. And that's it for the upper part. Oh, sorry, yeah. We forgot the main attraction of the show. So in this case, it looks like we're gonna have to do a bit of rearrangement again. So since these are gonna be on the inside and they're not gonna be seen, we're gonna make them tiny and fit them in there. And it looks like we're gonna have to scale these bottom pieces even more, just to make sure they fit in. Trying to make space for that part. Okay. And now we can place these right there. And now we're gonna cheat a little bit and scale this and place it right here. Okay, that looks alright. And now we're gonna save the scene. Go back to the model tab and hide this part and unhide the bottom part. Now we're gonna switch back to the UV tab. Okay, so these are the bullet heads. So we already have them UV'd because I UV'd them to apply a color map. UVing them is pretty easy. I'm just gonna show it on one bullet and then I'm gonna undo. So you select that part and you just use unwrap, and then obviously relax with adaptive, and there you go. It's very, very easy. Or you either use a project from view technique and then you use relax. Okay, so we have them UV'd, we can move them aside. And now, since we already started with the bullets, this was quite easier when I did it because I only did the UV for one and then and then cloned them. But for the shells, okay, we're just gonna test out the unwrap on one of them so we can see how to unwrap it best. And I think best would be like this. Yes, this would be probably best. So I'm gonna unhide everything, select the bullet shells again, hide everything, and I'm gonna repeat the process. I'm just gonna select first I'm gonna select this edge loop on all of my meshes, and then I'm gonna pick the inner side here, and I'm just gonna grow the selection, actually select the next element just by using up arrow, and let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so 8 times. So we don't have to rotate on this side to see if we got it all. So let's test this out. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So it's 9. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Now this is a pretty repetitive process, so I'm going to continue doing it for all the bullets, and then I'm going to resume the video. Okay, I'm done. Now all we have to do is use unwrap, and there we have it. Now we can use orient pieces and make sure these are the same. We're going to have to rotate this 180 degrees, and this one the same, just so they look the same, because we're going to use overlapping UVs. So I'm going to repeat again the process with fit UVs, and again I'm going to pause the video and resume. I'm going to do the same thing for every mesh in the UV space. Okay, so I'm done. One thing you need to do after you fit them all, you need to relax them. You can either use adaptive or unwrap methods. So I'm just gonna scale them down. Same for the body, and same for the bullet heads. Okay, now that we're done with those, we can hide, and now we're going to continue with these. This might be a pretty tricky shape to UV, but I'm gonna show you how to do it. So first of all, just like with the shells, we're gonna hide everything, keep only one. And now the best place to pick a seam would probably be here, and obviously it's equal on this side, because when you unwrap, it will unwrap perfectly. So again, I'm gonna repeat the process that I did with the bullet shells. I'm gonna unwrap every first I'm gonna select the seams, then I'm gonna unwrap every piece, fit them, and then relax them. So I'm gonna pause the video and resume when I'm done. Okay guys, I'm done. Now for this bottom piece, you just pick an edge on the inside so it won't be visible. One thing I want to add is it doesn't matter if they don't completely match up because we're gonna paint over this area, so it's actually quite good to have a bit of diversity. So we can unhide everything now, save our scene, scale them down, and place them near the bullet. Now we can select the bullet, hide, and we can take a look at what we have. So next, let's do these two buttons because they're really simple. So I'm gonna hide everything. Now I'm gonna pick an edge, so preferably an edge that's not gonna be visible. And I'm just gonna run unwrap because the buttons themselves are just simple cylinders. So I'm gonna use relax with adaptive. Okay, I'm gonna use orient pieces, and I'm gonna try to fit them just a little. Okay, I'm gonna move them aside, unhide everything, hide what we have UV'd, and now we can go ahead and UV the ammo holder. So the ammo holder, well, this piece here is pretty obvious. We only have to select the corners here, so it unwraps pretty nicely. But for this bigger piece here, we might run into a few complications. So let's just unwrap this piece so we can focus on the ammo holder itself. Okay, UV relax. See if unwrap does a better job. I'm gonna use it like that. Okay, so hide everything. Now, first of all, we're gonna try and do it in parts. So we're gonna pick a few seams and see how that helps. Now, I'm gonna try with the most obvious ones, and those are the corners here. And now we can probably go ahead and continue this edge to the back here. Actually, yeah. Actually, we're gonna need to do something else. First, let's detach this as a separate seam, and now we're gonna have to detach the back here again because this will unwrap pretty nicely without adding any extra seams. Now, since we added these, let's remove those extra ones that we don't want, and now we can continue this seam to the point where it meets the other. Not quite there. Okay, and now unwrap. You may get some bit of overlapping, but hopefully it will be fixed once you relax. Now you can, if we look closer here, the shape matches with the adaptive method, but if it doesn't work like that, you can always use the project from view technique. So project from view, okay, you gotta click in the view, and now you can use relax to straighten out the flaws. Okay, now we're gonna use relax on this piece, and it unwraps pretty nice, but we do have some errors. So those errors basically mean that we need more than the seam that we already have. So in that case, you can either pick more seams or choose a different seam. For now, I'm going to try and pick a different seam. Maybe that will help. So I'm just going to try and, I don't know, maybe pick this one here. Again, using the up arrow to select the next element. Okay, so this distorts it pretty much. We don't really want that distortion. So yeah, if picking another seam doesn't really fix the problem, you can always go for a different approach and pick two seams. Although this may look like a simple piece that you can just pick a seam on the side or anywhere else and wrap it, it's actually pretty complicated. Now I'm gonna try again and try and get it done this time. UVing is basically trial and error until you get really good at it, and then you basically see stuff and how they are supposed to look. Okay, so you see we're getting overlapping here, which this overlapping, I don't know why is it going on, because it shouldn't, since we picked the seam right there, but it still goes on. So you can probably try and fix it manually. I wonder what happens if we don't pick that as a seam. I'm talking about those inner edges. Modo is sometimes weird when it comes to UVing, because it does stuff that it shouldn't do. So stuff happens that it shouldn't be happening. Okay, I accidentally used relax there. I'm going to use unwrap. See, so now we're not getting the stretch, but technically we shouldn't have gotten it in the first place. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have to go with the adaptive method, since we don't have any other choice. It's a pretty funky shape, but we're gonna have to work with it. Now for this piece, we said we're gonna use the project from view technique and use relax and scale it down, kind of like that. And this one doesn't really matter because it won't be seen, but we can use a small unwrap relax on it. Okay, now we can unhide everything, place it right below the bullet, I'm sorry, we forgot this piece, so stick it there near the group. And these are the buttons. Okay, now we're left with the feet. So the feet, like I said, we only have to UV one, and then we're gonna clone it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete 3 of them and just keep 1. Okay, so we're gonna do this starting with this big part. So again, obviously we need to pick a seam right here. Since this is mainly gonna sit on the floor, it's not gonna be visible. And we're gonna try and unwrap like this, and you're gonna see that it unwraps pretty nice. Although we're gonna have to use the adaptive method. And again, relax. We're not going to worry about this piece. It's probably going to be scaled down since we're not going to see it. We're worried about this one. There is a bit of stretching here, but we're gonna leave with it, and we're gonna check with a UV checker once we're done. So this is the base. Now we're gonna do the. Actually, need to move this out of the way. Save. And we're gonna do this rubber thing. Again, very, very simple. Oops. Unhide. Now the connector. Again, very, very simple. Just pick a seam wherever you think it will be less visible. And we're just gonna go up. Now you see like this, this piece here, the interior is not gonna be seen too much, so it's only gonna bother us when we UV it. So we can go ahead and delete the interior. It will help us when we unwrap it. Okay. Now we're gonna do it on this cylinder. We're gonna do it the same way. Yeah, so adaptive doesn't really work as we want it to, so we're gonna use unwrap. Okay. We're also gonna fit these pieces in, because once we clone them, we won't really move them around too much. So we're just gonna go ahead and fit them and then clone at the end. Okay. Now we're gonna do this one. By the way, when you unwrap, you also have an initial projection, so it will help. Also, playing with the axis, the projection axis, will help a bit. But like I said, I'm just doing this in a screen recording, so when I suggest that when you do it for your own personal projects or for a client or everything or anything, sorry, please try to pay attention and spend a lot of time doing the UVs to get them perfect, because you don't really want the client to say, hey, this thing looks stretched. So relax, rotate, unhide, orient, and scale. Okay, now we're gonna do this little bolt. So this bolt should be something like this. Okay. Run on adaptive relax. So this is the middle. Actually, it's the other way around. This is the cap, and this is the bottom. Also try to keep them together. Don't have them scattered all over the UV space. Okay, now we're going to save the scene. And and go ahead and arrange them. So we're going to start with what's occupying the most space. So obviously that would be either the leg here or the ammo holder. So we're going to try and keep them almost the same. So on this side we have the leg, on this side we have the ammo holder. Now we're going to try to fit this first because it's a very weird shape. So we're going to try to fit it first. Maybe get the buttons in here. Actually, we're gonna scale them up. Also, you need to be careful not to leave too smaller space between the objects, so you don't accidentally overpaint. Okay, so I think I'm gonna actually put the rings on this side and make the buttons larger. Maybe you want to add some labels on the buttons, so you don't really want them to be too low res. Okay. And now we can scale them up. And just like that. We can also fit the bullet head. I'm sorry, that's the back part. We can fit the bullet head in here. Since maybe you want to add some image, you can give it a bit more room. And just the back is gonna probably have metal on it, so try to fit it in this space. It's not going to be visible too much. Okay. Now this is the shell, and this is the stuff that holds them together. Now we're going to leave these for the end. Save your scene. And we're going to get on with the other parts. Obviously this needs to be a bit bigger, kind of like that. And maybe we can scale this a bit down and fit the other part right here. Okay, this is the interior of where the shells actually go in. So it's gonna be probably black or some metal stuff, so I'm gonna fit it right there. It's not too important. Now again, this is the bolt, so we need to scale him way down and maybe place it right there, and just move this piece right there. Okay, so now let's see, this is rubber. So again, this pretty much 80% of it will be covered, so we're just gonna try and fit it somewhere where it won't take too much space. I think these are too much apart, so I'm gonna try to make room for the rubberish object. There we go. Okay, so now we only have the leg left. Now this, we want this to occupy a larger space. This one is obviously going to be on the bottom, so we're not going to give too much importance. We're going to just leave it here on the side and fit it in later. Okay, so this will probably be right there. Okay. This is the band. And maybe scale it down just a little bit. Okay, and this is the top part, which can fit right there. And now let's try and place these around our mesh. Sorry, our UV space. Okay, now this is the bullet shell. I've kept a little nice spot here just in case you want to add a bit of a detail to it. I'm going to have to scale it down just a little bit. Okay, and this is the leather, which will go right there. And that's pretty much it for the second part. Now we're going to save our scene. And now we're going to clone the legs. So just hide everything, go to top, duplicate radial array, pick 4, and try to aim in the middle here, and you're going to get 4 legs. And if you go now to the UV space and unhide everything, you're going to see that the legs appear to have overlapping UVs, and that's what we intended. Now we can save our scene, and we can check the UVs out by adding a UV checker output. Material. So just, I think I had one around here. If you can't find one, there is one in the miscellaneous folder, UV checker. So just drag that into the okay, I actually forgot to add a camera. And we can check this out using shaded texture. Yeah, we need to, first we need to assign the material. So just delete the material, assign material, check, go back to render, assign the UV checker. We forgot to select the UV map. So first we're going to select part 1, and then we're going to have to assign another material, check 2, create a duplicate, place it, and assign part 2. And maybe we can wrap it just a little bit so we can see better. Okay, let's add a light. Save our scene, and let's just give it a test render. And there you have it. It's not perfect, but it's a start, and you need to do some bit of UVing to master it. Good luck and have fun. See you in future tutorials.